We come from many different lands, and our creations proudly celebrate our heritage. But when our rich diversity comes together, our impact is amplified and possibilities are endless. Together, the architecture and design community is committed to working hand in hand with Surge to create a happier and healthier world through safe water.
This particular design has such a rich heritage of it being something that is practiced every day, something that kind of represents this harmonious coexistence between man and nature.
On a usual day, the columns are made smaller, but when there is an occasion or when there's a celebration like Diwali or Pongal, it just grows bigger, and we also add colors to it.
So Surge's mission is to provide safe and sustainable water to underprivileged communities all around the world by using our coconut shells as a water feeder for birds and animals. Hope to shed light on this amazing work that Surge does.
Bedouins traditionally were famous for their hospitality and synonymous with functional living on the go. So this narrative is what we incorporated into our piece, which can be placed in many different arrangements of a majlis.
The most important thing for us is that this whole piece has been created with recycled plastic completely. What we were trying to do is blend this modern technology with our heritage culture and trying to incorporate touches of Emirati culture into our modern design.
To promote the heritage and the culture, which is very particular to each of the villages, each of the communities. That's how we align with Surge's purpose and Surge's mission, to promote the heritage, which is great for this year's theme.
We want to remind people that any leftovers can be reused to shape something nice, something new, with a new use.
We decided that we wanted to create a piece that basically brings about community. What we wanted to symbolize was how diverse our team is, and each one of us come from different cultures.
It also relates to the idea of water and surge as well, because those patterns are often created when waves interact with one another. This pattern is not only beautiful, but also relates to the concept of water.
We were inspired to really look into the Dominican Republic, not just part of one of the underdeveloped countries in the world, but a country that has a lot of heritage when it comes to music, carnivals, as well as craftsmanship, which really tied in with us creating this piece.
The piece itself was made out of like the cube and the L-shaped ledge. So the L-shaped ledge actually gets pulled out, and then the top part where we have the table gets adjusted to different heights for all the different ages that can be used.
Also, the Dominican Republic heritage embraces all the senses, and the epitome of them is sound and vision and the colorways that they have. We wanted it to be as interactive as possible and what the culture represents initially.
When we speak about heritage, the few materials that come to our minds are colors, patterns, textures, prints, elements such as jute, bamboo, rattan. So this was our inspiration, and we wanted to create a piece that imbibes the UAE's heritage and culture.
We've tried to imbibe the weaving practices that were kind of prevalent back in the day to create patterns that kind of take you back to the history of UAE. These women back then used sustainable materials such as wool from camel, goat and sheep, and we've tried to do that as well.
The piece, when you are approaching, you can feel it, you can see your roots, you can touch back your roots. We have the design all around us, from people, inspiring by spaces, locations, and even the country we are in. But from inside us, this is where it's coming from, our roots, coming from our culture, coming from our backgrounds. And this is where heritage started.
This piece is inspired by the peacock, and it's a peacock is a national bird of India. So weaving part is an Indian tradition from long time. And we make charpais. If you go to the village side or some outskirt area, they still use the charpai. It's still around nowadays. A lot of people are getting those charpais in a modern way. They are making colors and things, but the technique is still the same. Being a designer, we are scared of using sustainable material because we feel we will compromise with our designs, which is not the fact right now, because there are a lot of materials which we can use, and still we can get dynamic, bold design out of it.
The Palestinian hikaya. And from Egypt, we have something called Sira al-Hilaliya. And what these two things mean is storytelling. And it's such an important element that gets passed on from women and from culture to culture, from children through generations. We thought these two, yet so different, but they are quite similar. They intertwine together, which we thought was amazing.
During our research on the piece, we learned things ourselves. So we can imagine that a lot of people here in a multicultural country like the UAE feel the same. So the ripple effect of our piece is you being immersed, learning about different cultural elements, spreading that awareness.
So the bululs are a stylized depiction of the Ifugao's ancestors. They are believed to protect and multiply their rice productions. The concept of my creation is to represent the Ifugao people. I wanted the world to know more about these ethnic groups and their struggles. And in that way, people will know that these ethnic groups are in desperate need of their assistance.
The initial inspiration behind this project was to go back to different ancient cultures, such as the Amazigh, the Berber, and the Bedouin cultures. Throughout weaving, they show so much of their culture and so many stories, and therefore we wanted to take this aspect and kind of incorporate it into our project.
Our piece empowers women craftsmanship. Our piece empowers local craftsmen, and our pieces uses locally sourced materials.
So our concept was to integrate lighting into weaving, and that way when you look at this piece from afar, you would realize that this is something you would want to have in the present and the future, rather than keeping it in the past.
The drops tool is inspired by the basic form of this tool that we all have in our countries. It represents different cultural backgrounds, despite the shape that it exists in.
We designed the drop to aid in everyday life. So not only as a furniture piece, but also as a functional transportation container for water, to ease the bringing of water. By investing in sustainable technologies and exploring better ways to ease the delivery of water, our creation here works hand in hand with the communities to bring Surge's mission to life.